Hello and welcome. I'm Excellent, and this is my podcast. Hello, Rob.
Hello, Tracy.
How are you, Rob?
You know, that's normal. Living the dream.
Yeah,
Living the coronavirus dream.
it's getting crazy. Are you on lockdown?
We're so locked down. We're locked down. It's like being locked down. We're actually like locked down.
You guys get fined. You get fined if you leave.
Yeah, they're using the police cameras now. The
Oh,
traffic
really?
cameras. And if they clock you, if you're out of your area and they clock your registration, you get a letter saying you've got why were you at such a place at such a time? And if you can't come up with a good excuse, they fine you.
Oh boy, I can
It's
tell
a bit,
you that would not go over well here. But I wish we could lock down because it's there. You know what? There's been a lot. I don't know if you know this, Rob, but it's been a little hectic over here.
back to the Wild West days, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit hecticness. Yeah. Uh-huh. Best to just stay inside
Yeah.
and turn off the news. I've been I've been experiencing panic attacks, and I think it's because I've been watching too much news. So it's either that or you know I had the extra demon hanging around. I don't. Could be both. You never know.
Mm. You need to take more water with it, with your alcohol. I don't
What?
know. I don't know. I just said that. I don't know. It's completely irrelevant to what we're talking about.
And rude. For first off, do I drink?
Um, very much, yeah.
What are you talking about? What are you
I don't know.
doing?
Don't know. Don't know what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna stop this and we're gonna start recording again.
It's okay.
That is not true.
I know you don't. I don't know what I'm talking about. You don't know. I'm getting myself mixed up with you. I need to stop wearing these women's clothes. What am I talking about? Are you there?
Like, unfortunately, this feels like a bad dream.
Talking about bad dreams.
Yeah,
We were talking about bad dreams, but
we actually were talking about bad dreams before we started. Now, before we get started, Rob, if people would unexplainably give this video a thumbs up, I don't even. Please do. And if you'd like to be subscribed, go ahead and click that button and share this because you might feel like torturing somebody. I know I do. Hashtag Rob. And if you'd like to be notified when my content goes live, go ahead and ring that bell.
yeah,
This is my sexy voice, huh, Rob? I'm
go
excellent. All right. So, Rob, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about unidentified bodies that are found around the world and are still unidentified to this day.
Right. That's what
Your
we're talking
Jane
about.
Does and your John Does,
Hmm.
or whatever they call them now.
Yes, that's what they call them. Well, they sometimes give them nicknames of like the area they found them in or something
Yeah,
they're wearing. This topic is fascinating to me because, like, I'm going to be talking about some people who had extensive dental work done. They weren't. Um, they were people who obviously had care and access to doctors and dentists and and then nobody reported them. But that is what I always talk about. We're gonna get back. No trucker is ever gonna watch this channel or listen to a podcast, because getting back to truckers, as I always do, if you drop a body off in Oregon that had been taken in Massachusetts, even if somebody had reported them missing, it might not be connected. Because of the distance. So, although you would think that technology these days would help that along, but clearly people are still unidentified. And that's fascinating to me. It's sad. If you go missing, Rob, I'll report you missing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's the least I
Why
can
do?
do.
What is your problem? What is your issue with truckers? Though is there some kind of deep seated kind of thing that you don't like about them? Because
No.
I used to be a trucker, and I can assure you now, I've never killed anyone or hid their body. Well,
So you
second
say.
one, we'll have to be a bit looser with that. But
No, I just say that, like, a lot of serial killers end up being, people in the trucking industry, and they suspect that that's the case in a lot of serial killings, because they can just get right back on the freeway and be gone in a completely different state. So it is the ideal job, other than National Park Ranger. Don't get me started. Uh, there's another set of people. But I mean, it is ideal, right? And like I said before here 100,000 times, every major freeway passes through Oklahoma City, so they do believe that there's a lot of trafficking of humans that happens, you know, through major thoroughfares, whatever the word is, where they meet that way. And according to a documentary I watched, and it has to be true because it was on a documentary.
oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's they say that truckers know that it goes on, and that there's like this hidden kind of a language. Now, I have truckers in my family. My father's siblings own a major trucking company that, obviously hires serial killers. I don't know. Sorry about that. Yeah, Doris.
Do you think it's part of the interview when you go for a job?
For a trucking job, I
Any
do.
other business at the end of the interview? By the way, um, just wondering, have you ever murdered anybody? And have you got any dead bodies that you need to get rid of?
Do you ever carry them across state lines?
Yeah, because there's no right or wrong answer, but it would help
You're,
you. It would help you your job if you say yes.
I do believe that they have that conversation. Yes. Yeah. Anyway,
Oof.
so you said you wanted to go first. Is that correct?
Yeah, because the first one is in Manchester.
Manchester.
Yeah,
All right. And
the
where are you from,
Angel.
Rob?
I'm from Manchester,
And
as
you
you
just
probably
said
can
you've
tell.
never killed anybody.
Yeah. Oh no, I've not. Well, not we could talk about today, but there you go. Got an ex-wife that I came very, very close to, but
She was quite lovely.
yeah.
All right, go ahead.
The angel.
This is a serious conversation. Why do I have the giggles?
I don't know.
Okay, go ahead, Rob.
The angel of the meadow is the name given to by the media to an unidentified murder victim whose remains were discovered in 2010 in the Angel Meadow, Manchester, United Kingdom. Despite an extensive international investigation, neither the woman's identity nor that of her killers have ever been established. The body was discovered on the 25th of January 2010. Well, I wasn't living in Manchester then, so it wasn't me. At the site of a former car park.
Is it far away from where you live?
It's pretty much sits in the city centre. Former car park located on Angel Street, Danzig Street, and Miller Street in Manchester, England. The area is known. It's the north of the city. If you look at the city centre, it's the north part of the city, so it's going towards where I'm from. The Angel is known as Angel Meadow and was the location of the notorious Victorian slum, which Friedrich and Engels referred to as Hell upon Earth. At the time of the discovery, the site was being prepared for redevelopment into the new head offices of the cooperative group. A workman noticed a skull, which led to the discovery of a human skeleton concealed underneath sections of a blue carpet. The police were called to the scene at 1550. Right, this is what this is what they know. The person was born in between 1950 and 1954 in Europe or Middle East, or Europe or the Middle East. She's been oh, Rob, come on, get your mouth sorted. She's been unidentified for 10 years, 11 months, and 16 days. Are you laughing or writing or I can hear tapping?
Sorry.
It's really annoying when people do that, isn't it?
I was tapping on something. I don't even know why. Sorry.
Just there you
Bring
go.
my clerks to attention. Thank you.
Right, she died. This is ridiculous. Well, I suppose it's difficult to put an exact date, but she died between 1970 and 1980. Yeah. Aged between 18 and 35. Well, that narrows the field right down.
It could contribute to her being unidentified.
And her final resting place now is Southern Cemetery in Manchester, which is a really big cemetery in the south of the city, known for unidentified murder victim. Her height was between 5'1" and 5'7". So she wasn't very well. Yes,
she could have been very, very short or very, very tall.
Very tall, yeah, basically.
Yeah. No, I don't understand that. I mean, her bone length should still be her bone length. They should be able to tell her heights from from her leg bones, shouldn't they?
Right. The victim had suffered a fractured neck, clavicle, and jaw. Police initially believed that the woman was aged between 18 and 35 when she died. The date of her death was identified as, like I said, the 1970s or 80s. Police believe the woman was born between 1950 and 1954. In life, the victim was a size 12, and her height was between 5'1" and 5'7". She was probably European, but possibly from India or the Middle East. See, we had a big. I'm not going to go into it because it's not the proper time to go into it. But Um, the victim was had a number of fillings it's like what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
The victim had a number of fillings, and her first upper right and her first right premolar was missing, which would have been apparent in life when she smiled. Basically, had some half her teeth were missing. Um,
One tooth.
well, apparently, when in life when she smiled,
Well, yeah, what her front molar was missing. So it would have been
molar,
molar, yeah.
but they're the ones at the back, aren't they?
Well, they go no, they come all the way up to your incisor.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to see that though, would you?
Yeah, you could if she smiled big. You could see the first molar, which would be the next one, the one next to the incisor. You could see that missing.
Yeah, I suppose so. Are you a dentist now?
Well, yeah, I play one on the internet. A psychiatrist and judger of apparently truck drivers. I don't know.
Right, the victim was wearing a blue jumper, blue brassiere, a green
Brazier.
brassiere, a green pin,
Brazier.
a green
A bra.
pinafore. Okay, a blue bra, a green pinafore dress, whatever that is, black stiletto court shoes. Oh, of only one was found. The pinafore dress was distinctive in that it had large buttons and a
Yeah.
unique 1970s style pattern, and a number of items were found near the body: a plastic Guinness measuring chart from the 1960s, an orange pattern carpet, dark blue and blue carpets, tights, and handbag. One of the carpet pieces which covered the body was thought by police to be removed from a Ford Cortina, um, and featured a hole cut for the gear stick. And that is all we know about this unfortunate young lady. And
Huh.
she's still unidentified today. And you would think that someone would have found her, would have missed her. Like you were saying
Yeah.
before, Trace, someone would have missed this person who suddenly. She doesn't sound like she was homeless.
Yeah.
She, you know,
And
and
they
I
said they
do.
did an international search to see if anybody missed that. I mean, matched that description, and obviously they didn't find anybody.
Oh, I've just found something else as well, which might be. The death was initially treated as non suspicious until the post mortem revealed that the woman had suffered a violent death.
Mm.
The
Huh.
investigation commenced with the search of missing persons records and an appeal to the public in the hope that some would recognise the items recovered with the body, but there have not been any leads at all.
Mm.
She was featured on an episode of BBC Crime Watch. Um, I've been on Crime Watch, but for a completely different thing. But that's another story.
I bet. Oh, by the way, if you guys hear my son in the background, he's streaming a game, so you might hear that. I can't be blamed for what might come out. I don't know. Okay, so I am going to go to. Hold on a second. This is. I'm going to go to. Louisiana. And this is Slidell Jane Doe. And my husband lived in Slidell for a year and a half while he, as I've said on here before, he traveled for work. He didn't live in Slidell. He worked there and then slept there every day of the week. While we lived in Arizona. Actually, by the time we got to Slidell, we were in Texas. And anyway, it's I in Slidell. They have this restaurant, and it's owned by the sister of the guy who owns the Cafe Du Monde. There is another Cafe Du Monde in Slidell. In case you guys ever go to Louisiana, you can go to Slidell and go to another Cafe Du Monde, and it is not in, even remotely close to as packed as the one in New Orleans. So my suggestion to you is, if you want to go just to taste it, go to Slidell. It's not that far away from Louisiana. Boy, the story is they have an alligator in a cage, and I actually, for the first time in my life, felt sorry for an alligator. Do you, Rob? Do you remember that story I told you about me going into the swamp and the bug landing on my shoulder and me losing
Yeah.
my ever loving mind? Yes, that
Yep.
happened in Slidell as well. So I won't be going back anytime soon. This is Slidell Jane Doe. On June 19th, 1986, the body of a white female who was aged between 20 and 30 years was found in Slidell, St. Tammany Parish, Louisiana, in Lake Pontchartrain. She had been murdered around 1 to 2 days prior to her discovery, and her body had already begun to decompose. I suppose because it was June, it's really hot and super muggy, and it's just if she was found in the lake, which is actually not even a lake, the ocean just goes into it. In any other state in the country, it would be called like a bay or a gulf, but not Louisiana. They call it a lake. Anyway, the cause of her death was ruled to be a combination of asphyxiation and stabbing. Wounds were visible on her face. Her hair was either a light brown or red, which was shoulder length. She had freckles and had um, breast implants. It is believed that she had been married. Her left ring finger showed that she had been wearing a ring. It had been recently removed, likely by the person who killed her. She was also 3 months pregnant. She was of a petite stature. She stood about 5 feet 2 to 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighed about 126 pounds. She was nude. She had a plastic bag that had been placed over her head, and a weight was tied around her neck to ensure that her remains would not surface, and likely assumed that gators and fish and whatnot would get her, I assume. After her autopsy, and obviously, by the way, this did not work because the body bloats so much that it would probably just, the skin would slip, and tying something around somebody won't keep them from floating up once they're bloating and their skin slips. Not that anybody needed to hear that, but it's true. So don't use it as your plan. Rob,
What? I'm just letting you dig your hole. Sorry.
I know, I know. Thanks, you're supposed to step in. You said you'd have my back. All right. Um, After her autopsy, examiners concluded that the victim may have been involved in an automobile accident prior to her murder because there was evidence that her hips had healed from fractures. It was also possible that she had had a nose job, which could be due to the same reason that scars were also found on her abdomen, her knee, and one wrist. Maybe something had happened to her nose in the car accident.
Right.
Her teeth were excellently cared for, though, although some were possibly congenitally missing, and all of her wisdom teeth had been removed. So she had had access to, an oral surgeon. Getting
Yeah.
your wisdom teeth removed is a spendy um, deal. So, thing is that so she wasn't wasn't somebody who was homeless. She had was married. Um, I don't understand why they couldn't have used her dental records to identify her. What year is this? What year was this? 1986. They would have been able to do general records, right? In 86? Sure, yeah. I don't know, but she's still unidentified to this day.
That's really weird. That's like they don't want to identify her.
Yes. Yeah.
Surely, if she'd had she's had cosmetic surgery. You
Yeah.
said she had breast implants and she had a
Yes.
nose job. That there would be some record of that.
And breast implants have
Of a
like
serial number.
a serial number. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel like they just plain didn't want to identify her. Huh. I don't know.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Take the time
That
out to take the time out to go tie her up, put a weight around her neck. That seems like somebody who not only wanted to hide her, but it's kind of like an angry kind of a thing, you know? I don't know.
But if someone who is obviously not homeless or has got access to good healthcare, especially in America, good healthcare and dental
Mm-hmm.
and cosmetic and all that,
Yeah.
can't be identified, then what are the chances of someone who lives on the sort of outside of whether they're homeless or
Yeah.
of society being identified? There's no chance, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
you're
just
right.
chuck them in a swamp and then
I
you know
suppose that's why serial killers choose people that like prostitutes and drug addicts and whatnot, because they figure there is a much less likely chance that they'll be identified. Because first off, nobody will even report them as missing.
yeah
Because especially like in a situation of a prostitute or drug addict or something, somebody who comes home and then goes away again, comes home, goes away, maybe goes through treatment, goes away. Eventually, maybe you stop reporting them missing.
yeah.
But in this case, doesn't seem to be the case. All right.
And
All right.
we've had more so when I was younger, and we've always had neighbours who just just one day they're there, the next day they're not, and you just put it down that they've moved away.
What?
You know, we've had neighbours have who didn't neighbour as such, and they weren't really that popular. They're just there for a few months and then they move away. Um, how do you suddenly think, well, obviously they just moved away, or they could have gone missing? How do you? My point is, how do you know
Yeah.
whether these people have
Right.
just gone and moved to another property, or they're all down the bottom of a swamp somewhere?
Yeah, but I'm assuming they're mothers. They have family, loved ones, right? I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
a neighbor might not know, but wouldn't there? I don't know. No
yeah,
friends?
yeah. That's my whole point. We
Oh,
assume that mothers, friends, family,
yeah.
but apparently not, because
Right.
people just seem to be just disappearing, and no one seems to bat an eyelid. Because if there was a missing persons report for this person, and then they came, this is a missing persons report filed for this person that you're just describing, and then they find this body, surely they can match the two together and marry the two together. That, okay, we've got a missing persons report. Oh, we found a body. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But
Yes.
apparently there's something going amiss in the middle there that's not being able to match the two together. because these people are staying unidentified.
Yes. Hmm.
I mean, even people who died when that haven't been buried. I mean, I know that they do keep people, don't they, for a long time when they find them,
Yes.
and they're unidentified. Well, look how far we've come with DNA and all the rest of
Yes.
the different. Surely that nowadays people should be being identified who couldn't be identified a few years
Yes.
ago.
Yes, and that has happened in the last
Yeah.
few years here in the States. Some famous unidentified victims have finally been identified.
Mm.
So, what is your next one?
Mine is another one from the UK, the Exmoor body mystery. Concerns remains unidentified murder victim found on Winsford Hill near Winsford, Somerset, on the 13th of March 2002. The body was discovered on moorland near Hells Lane on Winsford Hill. Excuse me. In March 2002 by a park ranger who didn't open the bags and assumed they were animal remains. The remains were taken to Devon and Somerset Staghounds Kennels, where they were to be incinerated. After several days, the bags were opened and the remains were discovered to be human. Oh,
Ugh. Oh my goodness.
oh,
Ugh.
I just got a shiver out of my spine there. I mean, I'm speechless. Sorry, I know that it's not very good when you're doing something where people listen to you, but I'm speechless. Sorry.
Ugh.
Um, Examination of the body showed that he was a man in his mid-20s to mid-30s. A distinctive gold pendant he wore with verse two. Oh, hang on, sorry. A distinctive gold pendant he wore with the verse 255 from the Quran led investigators to consider that he must have been Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
He suffered injuries consistent with a violent death between 1999 and 2000 and may have been buried on Exmoor for some time after May 2001. There were numerous appeals for information on his identity in 2002, including international inquiries as well as TV reconstructions. In 2017, a new appeal was launched, and he still has not been identified, even though a full DNA profile has been created.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's. The body was buried in an Islamic funeral in a cemetery in Watchet, or wherever that may be.
Mm. Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if men are reported less often.
Mm.
I wonder if they are. And just assumed like, man, guys will be guys and he's a deadbeat dad or whatever, and they're just not reported as often. I mean, if my husband went missing, that would be completely out of the norm. So I
Yeah.
would obviously report him missing, but I wonder if in general they are. My next one is a man as well. Well, no, my next one is a baby. Um, on July 11th, 1963, the remains of an infant or toddler were discovered near Ashland, Jackson County, Oregon. Ashland itself is a very artsy, um, beautiful city. It's so beautiful, but it's very artsy and laid back and welcoming, and I I love it there. Um, one of the blankets he was wrapped in was hooked by a fisherman.
Oh,
His remains were concealed in a blue blanket, a patchwork quilt with several red designs. The bundle was bound by telephone wires and weighed down with metal assayer's molds. What's an assayer?
I have no
Assayer.
clue.
The child's autopsy indicated that he likely died in the autumn of 1962, and he possibly. Now here is where if it was modern, they wouldn't say something like this. It's possible that he had Down syndrome or similar disability. They would know. I would think
Yeah.
more, you know, definitely if he it was that he had Down syndrome. The exact cause of the child's death was never determined due to decompensation, but the case is classified as homicide. His obviously, I mean, he didn't. I mean, really, is is do we have to decide if that baby did that or to himself? His clothing included a red and white striped long sleeve pullover, gray corduroy trousers, which had an elastic waistband, and a belt buckle. He had ankle length socks and white shoes. His shoes may have been found, may have been purchased from a store in Medford, Oregon. His other clothing may have been from J.C. Penney's. The child was also found wearing a diaper made of cloth that was secured with pins, and he had those plastic pants above them.
Oh,
His blonde or light blonde brown hair was somewhat long. His eyes were brown, and 8 of his teeth had erupted, which would put him about what? 8 teeth, probably a year and a half.
year and a half, yeah. 18
Um,
months.
yeah, maybe even a little tiny bit younger. One of his front bottom teeth was split in two, and it had two roots, which is an
Oh,
uncommon and which is very uncommon, obviously, and had a groove at its top. In efforts to identify the child, examiners took his footprints and then went around to the local hospitals and compared them with children who had been born in those hospitals, and none of them matched. So, my guess would be that back in the 1960s, that somebody probably did that because of his disability.
um,
That makes me sick. The whole thing makes me sick. I don't know how's it. See, here's the thing. Here's another thing I just don't understand. Okay, so somebody decides that they can't handle having a child with Down syndrome. There's a little thing called adoption. But by 18 months, this child has family, cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents. Nobody, nobody reported that there was a child with Down syndrome missing. Except they wouldn't have called it Down syndrome back then. I think they called it being a mongoloid.
I hate that word.
Because even in the 80s, children with Down syndrome were called mongoloids because we had
Yeah.
foster children and one child who had Down syndrome. And that's what they called it. So so that's not your average missing child. I don't know what an average missing child is, but this is a child with a disability. Nobody reported him missing. Nobody. No aunts, uncles, cousins. When his siblings, if let's say he had siblings, when they got older, they didn't decide maybe they should look, see what happened. I would think I would, because he should still be less than 60 years old right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That makes me that makes me sick.
Mm.
I
It's
hope that
bad when
somebody comes. Huh?
it's bad when it's babies and little children.
Yeah, I hope that somebody identifies this baby. All right, you're next.
Okay, just give me a sec, Trace. Right, nude in the nettles. Nude in the nettles was the name given by the media to a body of an unknown female found concealed under what was reportedly a nettle bush, actually a willow herb bush near Sutton Bank in North Yorkshire, England. In 1981, the police were notified of the body's location by an anonymous caller who claimed that he could not give his name for reasons of national security. Neither neither the identity of the woman nor the caller have ever been established, despite an extensive investigation. The discovery of the victim. On Friday, the 28th of August 1981, at around 8 a.m., Constable John Jeffries, of Ripon Police, received a telephone call at the police station from a man who was described as well spoken and had a trace of a local accent. The caller said, "Near Gorton Moor House, you will find a decomposed body among the willow herbs." The caller then gave instructions to how to find the body. The call lasted for less than a minute. When the caller was asked for his name and address, he stated he could not give this information for reasons of national security and abruptly terminated the call. The local village constable attended the location identified but could not initially find the body. However, after careful searching, he uncovered the human bones underneath a large bed of Rose Bay willow. The CID was called to the scene and cleared a large area of undergrowth. The body was discovered near Sutton Bank Top on an unclassified road between Sutton Bank and Scoulton, near the junction near Scarborough. It is thought that the body was laid undisturbed for 2 years. A clue was a discarded lid from a tin of meat paste found to have been sold on the 6th of October 1979, which was found beneath the body. Police believe the woman was murdered and have never revealed how she died. This is a weird one, this one. Although the police were located near the entrance to Scoulton Moor House Farm, a popular family picnic area, the body was also well concealed that it was highly improbable that it could have been discovered by it. It was sorry, Chase. It was highly improbable that it could have been discovered by accident. The anonymous caller became a suspect in the murder, but his identity has never been established. In life, the woman was 5 feet 4 inches tall, 1.63 meters tall. She had dark brown hair with a length of around 4 to 6 inches. She was untreated and cut in, which was untreated and cut in a page boy style. The victim's toenails were painted with Max Factor. And she wore a size 4 shoe. The woman had given birth to 2 or 3 children during her life. I didn't know they would be able to tell that. Although no wedding ring was found, and it is believed that she had been married. No jewelry or clothing of any kind was found with the body, implying that someone had tried to conceal the victim's identity. Analysis on the skeleton reveals that the victim had a neck vertebrae abnormality, which would have caused her a bad back. Victim also had a displaced septum and an old ankle fracture. Bone analysis revealed that until the age of 7, the woman lived in an area with high levels of natural fluoride in the drinking water. Two local areas that had such water were Hartlepool and Grimsby. They're both up north, for anyone who doesn't know, quite far up north. All the victims' upper teeth, all but six of her lower teeth were missing under a dental plate which had been fitted. The woman had heavy staining on her remaining teeth, indicated that she smoked and drank heavily, and generally did not look after herself. Following the investigation of the site of her discovery, the wider investigation discovered from female clothing a black evening gown and some underwear hanging from a tree about a mile away from the location of the body. The items could not be proved to relate to the discovery of the woman, but no one has come forward to claim them. In November 1981, medical students constructed a waxwork of the woman in one of the first examples of using the techniques to try and identify an unknown descendant. But in 2012, the body was exhumed so that a DNA profile could be created. The profile was compared to samples of 5 families, 2 of whom came forward of their own volition that could potentially be related to the woman. No match was ever found. It's weird.
You know, maybe someday her children will get DNA tests, like 23andMe or Ancestry.com, and they'll be able to match those. Because, you know, the police departments keep an eye on those DNA profiles to see if, so they can catch serial killers and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, those, at least 2 or 3 children deserve to know what happened to their mom. That's really sad. It's so sad that they just throw a human away like garbage. I mean,
Yeah.
at the very least, I guess somebody, or maybe the person who killed her, at least did have some sort of a conscience to have her be found. That's sad. All right, my next one, my second to last one. This is Pierce County Jane Doe, and she was found in 1978 on August 29th. The skull of teenage white female was found by a pair of fishermen. You know, I think all of mine have been found by fishermen so far. Um, Near the Marshall River, southwest of Eatonville, Washington. Investigators believe that she may have been a victim of a homicide. She was estimated to be between 15 and 20 years old, was 5'7". She had long brown hair with blonde highlights. Weight and eye color could not be ascertained. She was most likely a smoker. She was found wearing a blue sweater with pink shoulders and a zipper, a multicolored t-shirt with a button front, blue denim jeans, a green windbreaker jacket with inside pockets, underwear, and a pair of blue sneakers with white chevrons on each shoe. A Marlboro cigarette pack was also found. It has long been speculated that she may be Donna Gail Manson, who was a victim of Ted Bundy. How strange that a woman whose last name is Manson would be a victim of Ted Bundy,
I know.
who disappeared in 1974 from Olympia, Washington, and wore similar clothing. Conclusive identification is implausible, if not impossible, since her remains and clothing were destroyed in 1985, and the coroner records are now missing. That's Terrible.
It's sorry, I haven't got words.
That's terrible. Well, it seems like they might. There's almost positive that it was this Donna Gale Manson. Um, what kind of incompetence loses a person's entire remains, all their clothing, and coroner's records go missing? That seems kind of,
Unless it's been done on purpose.
yeah, it seems fishy.
Yeah.
That doesn't just go missing. I don't understand. They keep these in record rooms, and
Yeah.
her remains would have been kept somewhere. They just don't find themselves in a garbage can being taken out accidentally. That seems really fishy to me. That's unfortunate. I feel bad for her family.
Yeah.
In fact, if I was her family, I might just go ahead and assume it was her and claim her. But I guess you don't know if it's the wrong person. All right. Do you have one more, or do you have any more?
I've got one, but I'll just do quickly, but it's one we've done before, if that's okay.
Yeah, I got one more too.
Who put Bella in the witch elm?
Ah,
It's graffiti that appeared in 1944 following the discovery of four children of discovered by four children of the I can't say this word, skeletonized remains of a woman inside a witch elm in Hagley Wood, Hagley, located in the estate of Hagley Hall in Worcestershire, which is sort of Midlands, middle of the country. The victim, whose murder is approximately to have occurred in 1941, remains unidentified. The current location of her skeleton and autopsy report is unknown.
what?
Yeah,
That's odd.
in April 1943, four local boys, Robert Hart, Thomas Willits, Bob Farmer, and Fred Payne, were poaching or bird nesting in Hagley Wood, part of the Hagley estate belonging to Lord Cobham, near to Witcham Hill, when they came across a large wych elm. Thinking the location to be a particularly good place to hunt for birds' nests, Farmer attempted to climb the tree to investigate. As he climbed, he glanced down into the hollow trunk and discovered a skull. At first, he believed it to be that of an animal, but after seeing human hair and teeth, he realized that he had found a human skull. As they were on illegal land, Farmer put the skull back, and all four boys returned home without mentioning their discovery to anybody. However, on returning home, the youngest of the boys, Willis, felt uneasy about what he had witnessed and decided to report what he had found to his parents.
Good boy.
When police checked the trunk of the tree, they found an almost complete skeleton with a shoe, a gold wedding ring, some fragments of clothing. The skull was valuable evidence in that it still had some tufts of hair and had a clean dental pattern despite some missing teeth. After further investigation, the remains of a hand were found with some distance from the tree. The body was sent for forensic examination by Professor James Webster. He quickly established that it was that of a female who had been dead for at least 18 months, placing time of death in or before October 1941. Webster also discovered a section of taffeta in her mouth, suggesting that she had died from suffocation.
Mm.
From the measurement of the trunk in which the body had been discovered, he also deduced that it must have been placed there still warm and after the killing, as it could not have fitted there once rigor mortis had taken hold.
Mm.
Police could tell from items found with the body the woman who looked like what the woman had looked like. But with so many people reported missing during the Second World War, war records were too vast for proper identification to take place. That's an excuse that. They cross-referenced the details, and the reports. They had no reports of missing person throughout the region, but none of them seemed to match evidence. In addition, they contacted dentists all over the country, since the dentistry was quite distinctive. In 1944, a graffiti message relating to the mystery appeared on a wall in Upper Dean Street, Birmingham, reading, "Who put Bella in the witch elm?
Mm-hmm.
Hagley Wood." This provided investigators with several new leads for tracing who the victim could have been. Other messages in the same hand appeared to since at least the 1970s. Similar graffiti had sporadically, that's a word you don't hear every day, sporadically appeared on Hagley obelisk near to where the woman's body was discovered, which asked the slightly modified, "Who put Bella in the witch elm?"
Mm.
Yeah, so I've talked about that before, haven't we?
Yeah. I wonder what they think they got as far as clues from that. Do they think that her name is Bella?
Never thought
Like,
about that. No, you don't say anything.
because that would help with, looking through the war records and whatnot about the missing. Or it could be that somebody was calling her beautiful.
Yeah, yeah,
Huh. Interesting. That's one of my. I think that's one of the most interesting missing person cases. I can't even imagine being those boys. And good for that youngest one.
yeah. I mean,
Guilt.
why would you? I don't get why would you put the body there?
Well, I think I've read different accounts of talking about the fact that it could have been a sacrifice, which is why they chose the witch elm rather
Yeah,
than burying
yeah,
her. That it could have been some sort of a ritual sacrifice, um, because that kind of tree was used for those, whether it was for burning or whatever. So maybe it was something like that.
yeah,
And they didn't disfigure her by putting her in there, which is what would have happened if they had waited till rigor mortis had set in. So it seems intentional they did it shortly after she was killed so she would fit.
yeah,
And then trees tend to grow around things, so maybe they
yeah,
thought they would just be consumed by the tree,
yeah,
which also seems kind of a pagan kind of a thing.
yeah.
You know,
Never thought of it from that point of view.
that's where I would have gone if I was them.
Yeah, still spooky, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and the fact that in modern times there's still the same handwriting is still asking who put Bella in the
Yeah,
witch elm. That's some Halloween stuff right there.
yeah.
All right, my last one is Spokane County Jane Doe, which is, you know, where I am from.
Yep.
On June 20th, 1984, the nude remains of a woman were found in the Spokane River. What? Spurfurfur? In the Spokane River in Spokane County, Washington, initially believed to be aged between 16 and 30. A further examination conducted in 1998 indicated that she was actually aged 16, between 16 and 35 years old at the time of the death. Oh, well, that definitely helps so much more. Narrows it right down. She was white, about 5 feet 5 inches. She weighed approximately 130 pounds. She had two prominent moles on her neck and is known to have suffered from a minor case of spina bifida. She also had a scar on both her left arm and one of her knees. Her body was extensively dismembered, with her head, hands, and feet being severed from her body. A separate hand was located around the time of the discovery of the torso, but was determined to not belong to her. Let that sink in for a minute. She is known to have borne at least one child. Her head was not located until 1998, 15 years later, 14 years later, which was matched with the DNA of the victim. She had suffered a blow to the face, which had caused fractures to her skull. Additionally, sharp force trauma was found on the side of the head. There's been several reconstructions of Spokane County's Jane Doe's face. So that is a weird one to me. Her hands, feet, head. Sorry, my voice is doing that thing it does. Her hands, feet, head were gone. They found another severed hand, coincidentally, but it wasn't hers. So where's that body? I remember this big. Ugh. Okay, I wanted. Can I do one more? I want to do one.
Yeah,
This
of course you
one's
can.
connected to a famous serial killer, so I wanted to do this one. On March 21st, 1984, same year, the body of a teenage female was found in Seattle, Washington. She had died at least 10 months before she was discovered, and she was between the ages of 12 and 18. She was most likely left-handed and had a healed fracture, which was also observed on no. Yes, she had a healed fracture on her skull. Gary Ridgway described her as a white female in her early 20s who may have had brown hair, but the autopsy said she was 12. She was 12 and 18. On January 2nd, 1986, the body of another female was found in Auburn, King County, Washington. She was between the ages of 14 and 19. She'd been undiscovered for between 2 and 6 years. A third Green River victim's remains, which are also unidentified, were discovered in August of 2003. Due to the recovered remains being partial, no option exists to reconstruct her face. She is believed to have been between 13 and 24. Gary Ridgway described this victim as a white female in her mid-teens, early 20s, with blonde or brown hair and about 135 pounds. These three victims remain known as Jane Doe B10, Jane Doe B17, Jane Doe B20. Most, though not all, of the Green River Killer's victims have been identified and were involved in prostitution. Your missing 12-year-old.
You know.
Can't even imagine. So that's my last one. So hopefully, it takes time, but there have been unidentified bodies, like you said, in the last several years, that super famous cases that have been solved, cases that are actually in my playlist. And I've had people come to my channel and say, guess what? This case has been solved. So you never know. One of these might show up to be solved. I hope so for their families.
Yeah, definitely.
As a parent, I just don't know how I could go on living not knowing. You know, in a strange way, it'd be better to know that they had died than that they were being kept or traded or, trafficked. I don't know. I I can't even imagine. I really can't imagine.
Mm.
So for the families, I think it's just still there is no closure because there's still no identified, you know, culprit who did these murders. But at least you would have the body of your child back.
Yeah, you could mourn then.
Yeah. Yes. You know, bury them or whatever you're going to do, and have possession of them. I guess would be the best thing. I can't even imagine. So I think we're going to do several more of these kinds of podcasts with the
Mm.
unidentified victims, and it just doesn't hurt to get the information back out there and have people listening to it. It doesn't hurt. And with new things like all the DNA companies they have and stuff, it's likely that it seems like more unidentified victims will be identified.
Mm. It's I think it's a difficult subject, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I think that I know sometimes we unintentionally maybe joke about and stuff, but didn't feel that was appropriate today.
No, and even joking about something is sometimes a way to deal with
Yeah,
a horror, something that's so horrific, because this is so unnatural. Circumstances like this is just so unnatural because we go through a mourning process. That's natural to have a body, have a funeral, say goodbye, have a mourning process. Where this circumstance with, babies, you think, how horrific is that? Likely a
yeah,
parent had to, likely, I mean, chances are a parent. That's horrific. A 12-year-old child who could have been being a prostitute. I mean, horrific, unnatural circumstances. So it makes it especially difficult topic.
yeah, definitely.
But maybe it'll do some good to bring these to the forefront and have people looking at them.
Yeah, that's true.
Because maybe somewhere out there, somebody who listens to somebody's video, watches somebody's something, and thinks, I remember that I had a younger sibling and I don't know what happened to them. Or, something like that.
Yeah.
Starts to ask questions. Well,
Well, there's
thank you
one
for
thing
joining
for
me.
sure.
Oh, what?
Sorry, there's one thing for sure. People
Yeah,
don't just disappear.
that's right.
They don't vanish into thin air.
Well,
And
sometimes I do if you're in a national park.
well, yeah, but you know, there is a reason why these people, these
Yeah,
children, these women
and men.
are not coming home at the end of
Yes,
the day.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so disgusting that someone has treated them like literal garbage. I think that's another reason that it's a difficult subject because it's such a horror to think that, right?
Yeah,
Somebody considered a 12-year-old or a 18-month-old or even a 30-year-old man as garbage. So, thank you for doing this with me.
not a problem.
And we'll do some throughout the year.
Yeah.
Hopefully, maybe this year will be better. I don't know. It hasn't started off that great.
That's the understatement of the year.
Thinking we should all just take a nap, wake up in a couple of years.
Yeah.
It's the understatement of the year. It's the 12th.
Oh dear.
All right, Rob. Thank you.
Not a
And like I
problem.
said, if you guys want to give this video a thumbs up or share it, that is a huge help. If you are not subscribed and you would like to be, please go ahead and click that button and click that bell if you'd like to be notified when my content goes live. I appreciate it very much. Good night, Rob. Or good
Good,
morning. Good
good,
morning.
good morning,
Good day.
Trace. Good whatever.
Bye. Good whatever. Bye.
Bye.